Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine every thought you've ever had, every choice you've ever made, every moment of love, pain, triumph, and failure. All of it preserved somewhere in the fabric of reality itself. Not lost to time, not forgotten by history, but recorded with perfect clarity in what Edgar Cayce called the Akashic Records, the universe's own memory bank, where your soul's entire journey is written in light. Tonight, we're diving into one of the most profound spiritual concepts ever revealed to humanity. This isn't just another mystical theory. This is about accessing the very source code of existence, the place where all knowledge lives, where all possibilities converge, and where your deepest questions about who you are and why you're here finally find their answers. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us are walking through life completely disconnected from this infinite library of wisdom. We're spiritual amnesiacs, stumbling in the dark when we could be reading from the book of eternity itself. Are you ready to remember what you've forgotten? Edgar Cayce wasn't supposed to change the world. Born in 1877 in rural Kentucky, he was just a simple man with an extraordinary gift that terrified him more than it empowered him. They called him the Sleeping Prophet, but that nickname barely scratches the surface of what this man could do. Picture this. Cayce would lie down on a simple couch, loosen his tie, fold his hands across his chest, and slip into a trance so deep that his breathing would become barely perceptible. In this state, somewhere between sleep and death, he would access information that should have been impossible for any human being to know. He diagnosed illnesses in people he'd never met, prescribed remedies using compounds that wouldn't be discovered by science for decades, and spoke fluently about subjects he'd never studied while awake. But here's where it gets profound. When asked where this information came from, Cayce's unconscious mind revealed something that would shatter our understanding of reality. "I access the Akashic Records," he would say through his trance state, his voice carrying the weight of cosmic authority. The records of every soul's journey through eternity. Think about that for a moment. Every soul's journey through eternity. We're not talking about some mystical filing cabinet in the sky. We're talking about a living, breathing dimension of consciousness where every thought, every action, every intention you've ever had is preserved in perfect detail. The Sanskrit word akasha means space or ether, the subtle element that permeates all existence. These aren't just records, they're the very substance of reality's memory. But here's what makes your spine tingle. According to Cayce, these records don't just contain the past. They hold the patterns of your future, the blueprint of your soul's purpose, and the answers to every question that keeps you awake at night. Imagine reality as an infinite ocean. On the surface, you see the waves, the events, the experiences, the drama of everyday life. But dive deeper, beneath the turbulent surface, and you enter the stillness where everything is preserved. This is where the Akashic Records exist, in the eternal now that holds all time simultaneously. Cayce described these records not as static files, but as living energy patterns. Picture a vast library where the books write themselves, where every page glows with the light of consciousness, where every story is interconnected with every other story in an intricate web of cause and effect that spans lifetimes. Here's the mind-bending part. You're not just a reader in this library, you're an author. Every choice you make, every word you speak, every thought you think adds another line to your soul's ongoing story. But unlike earthly books, these pages can be read from any point in time. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously in this realm. This isn't just Edgar Cayce's wild imagination. This concept appears across spiritual traditions with remarkable consistency. The Vedantic tradition speaks of the Chitta, the universal consciousness that stores all impressions. Buddhism describes the Alaya Vijnana, the storehouse consciousness that holds the seeds of all karma. The Law of One materials refer to the social memory complex, where all experiences are shared and preserved. Even modern near-death experiencers report accessing this universal knowledge during their journeys. They describe being shown the life review, not just their own actions, but the ripple effects of every choice through time. They see how their seemingly small decisions created waves that touched countless other souls across generations. Carl Jung might have called this the collective unconscious, but Cayce went deeper. He showed us that this isn't just humanity's shared psyche. It's the universe's own consciousness, experiencing itself through every living being. Now comes the part that might disturb you. According to Cayce's readings of the Akashic Records, you've been here before, many times. This life you're living right now, it's just one chapter in a story that spans millennia. But this isn't the simple reincarnation narrative you might expect. Cayce revealed that the records show your soul's journey across multiple dimensions, different planets, various states of existence that our limited earthly consciousness can barely comprehend. You weren't always human. You weren't always on Earth. Your soul has worn forms of light, inhabited distant worlds, experienced realities where love and consciousness operate by completely different rules. Here's what's beautiful and terrifying. Every relationship in your current life has ancient roots. That person you felt inexplicably drawn to the moment you met them. You've loved them before, in forms and places your conscious mind can't remember. That instant dislike you felt for someone? There's a story there too, written in the records, waiting to be healed. The people closest to you, your family, your soulmate, your deepest enemies, they're all part of your soul group, cycling through lifetimes together, playing different roles, learning different lessons, healing old wounds, and creating new ones. The records show these connections as golden threads of light, weaving through time, binding souls together in an eternal dance of growth and forgiveness. But here's the crucial insight Cayce discovered. These aren't just random experiences. Your soul chose this life. You selected these challenges, these opportunities, these specific relationships and circumstances because they offer exactly what your consciousness needs to evolve. Every trauma you've endured, every joy you've experienced, every moment of confusion and clarity, it's all part of a curriculum designed by your higher self to push your awareness beyond its current limitations. The Akashic Records don't just record your journey, they reveal its purpose. The most revolutionary aspect of Cayce's discoveries wasn't that the Akashic Records exist, it's that you can access them. Right now. Not through some special psychic gift, not through years of training, but through the simple recognition that you are already connected to this infinite source of wisdom. Think about those moments in your life when you knew something without knowing how you knew it. That gut feeling that saved you from a dangerous situation. That creative insight that came from nowhere and changed everything. That moment of clarity about someone's true nature that your logical mind couldn't explain. You were touching the records. Cayce taught that the records aren't separate from you. They are you, at your deepest level. Your soul is like a unique note in an infinite symphony, and the Akashic Records are the full composition. When you quiet your mind and listen deeply, you can hear your part in the greater song. But here's where most people get stuck. They're waiting for some dramatic mystical experience, some cosmic download that will revolutionize their understanding overnight. The truth is subtler and more profound. The records speak to you constantly through intuition, synchronicity, dreams, and the deep knowing that emerges in moments of stillness. Every time you've had a sense of déjà vu, you are remembering something from your soul's records. Every time you've felt inexplicably homesick for a place you've never been, you are recalling another lifetime. Every time you've met someone and felt like you'd known them forever, you are recognizing a soul connection written in the eternal library of existence. The records don't just contain information, they contain transformation. When you truly access them, you don't just learn about who you were, you remember who you really are. Here's where Cayce's work becomes incredibly practical. The Akashic Records aren't just a cosmic history book, they're the universe's healing protocol. Every physical ailment, every emotional wound, every recurring pattern in your life has its origin story written in the records. And once you understand the source, healing becomes possible in ways that seem miraculous. Cayce would routinely diagnose illnesses by reading the karmic patterns in people's records. He'd see how a current physical problem stemmed from actions in previous lifetimes, or how an emotional block was connected to unresolved trauma from centuries ago. But here's the beautiful part. He also saw the pathway to healing. The records don't just show you what's wrong, they show you what's possible. They reveal the highest potential of your soul, the version of yourself that exists beyond all limitation and fear. When you connect with this vision, your entire being begins to reorganize itself around this higher truth. This is why some people experience spontaneous healings during deep meditation or spiritual practice. They're not performing miracles, they're simply aligning with the perfect blueprint of themselves that already exists in the Akashic dimension. Disease, dysfunction, and suffering are distortions of this original pattern. Healing happens when you remember and embody your true design. But the records show something even more profound. Your personal healing ripples across time and space, affecting every soul in your connection network. When you heal a pattern, you don't just free yourself. You free every soul that has been bound by that same limitation across all lifetimes. This is the deeper meaning of service. You're not just working on yourself, you're working on the collective consciousness of humanity. Every step you take toward awakening helps lift the entire species toward its higher potential. The most mind-bending aspect of the Akashic Records is their relationship to time. According to Cayce, the records don't just preserve the past. They contain all possible futures, like a vast tree of potential branching out into infinity. Your choices in each moment determine which branch of possibility becomes your reality. This isn't about predetermined fate. It's about what Cayce called probability patterns. The most likely outcomes based on current thoughts, emotions, and actions. The records show these patterns like weather systems of consciousness, swirling clouds of potential that can be influenced by awareness and intention. Here's what this means for your life. The future you desire already exists in potential form within the Akashic Records. Your highest dreams, your deepest purpose, your most fulfilling relationships, they're all there, waiting for you to align with the frequency that makes them manifest. But there's a catch, and it's a beautiful one. You can only access these higher potential futures by becoming the person who naturally attracts them. The records don't just show you what's possible, they show you who you need to become to make it real. This is why spiritual growth isn't just about feeling better or finding peace. It's about literally rewriting your future by changing your vibrational signature. Every limiting belief you release, every fear you transform, every moment of genuine forgiveness creates new pathways of possibility in the records. The most advanced souls, according to Cayce, learn to consciously work with these probability patterns. They don't just wait for life to happen to them. They actively participate in creating their reality by aligning their consciousness with the highest potential futures shown in the records. As we dive deeper into this mystery, something extraordinary emerges from Cayce's readings. The Akashic Records reveal that separation is an illusion. At the deepest level, all souls are connected in what he called the oneness of consciousness. Your individual records are part of a vast interconnected web where every soul's journey influences every other soul's path. This isn't just mystical poetry. It has profound practical implications. When you access the records deeply enough, you begin to experience what mystics call cosmic consciousness, the direct knowing that you are not separate from the universe, but are the universe experiencing itself from your unique perspective. In this state, compassion isn't a choice. It's an automatic response born from the recognition that harming another is literally harming yourself. Service becomes as natural as breathing, because you see that uplifting others uplifts the whole. Love stops being something you seek and becomes something you are. The records show that human consciousness is evolving toward this recognition. Each generation is born with greater access to this universal awareness. The children being born now carry genetic and spiritual codes that make accessing the records more natural than it has been for thousands of years. We're witnessing the early stages of humanity's awakening to its true nature, as individualized expressions of cosmic consciousness. The chaos and transformation happening in our world isn't random. It's the inevitable result of this evolutionary leap. Old systems based on separation and fear are crumbling as more souls remember their connection to the infinite. But here's the uncomfortable truth that Cayce never shied away from. Accessing the Akashic Records demands everything from you. Not money, not effort, but the complete surrender of who you think you are. The ego mind that believes in limitation, separation, and scarcity cannot comprehend the infinite nature of these records. To truly access this wisdom, you must die to your small self and be reborn as consciousness itself. This isn't a metaphor. It's a lived experience that feels like every cell in your body is being rewired. Every belief system is being dismantled. Every identity you've clung to is dissolving into the void of infinite possibility. Many people want the wisdom of the records without the transformation it requires. They want the answers without releasing the questions that keep them trapped. They want the power without the responsibility that comes with cosmic awareness. But the records have their own intelligence, their own protection protocols. They only reveal themselves to consciousness that can handle the truth without becoming inflated or corrupted. This is why the deepest spiritual teachings emphasize humility, service, and surrender. They're not moral requirements. They're frequency adjustments that allow you to receive higher dimensions of information. The path to the records leads through the valley of your own shadows. Every fear you've avoided, every wound you've denied, every aspect of yourself you've rejected must be faced and integrated. The records don't judge these aspects. They lovingly show you how every part of your journey, including the darkest moments, served your soul's evolution. Once you've tasted the reality of the Akashic Records, ordinary life can never be the same. You begin to see the divine choreography behind every experience, the hidden connections between seemingly random events, the perfect timing that orchestrates your growth with cosmic precision. This doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means it becomes meaningful in ways that transform suffering into wisdom and challenges into opportunities for expansion. You start recognizing the curriculum your soul designed for this lifetime, and you begin participating consciously in your own evolution. Relationships become sacred assignments where souls come together to heal, learn, and awaken each other. Career becomes a vehicle for service rather than just personal success. Every mundane moment contains the potential for profound insight because you recognize that the infinite is always expressing itself through the finite. You develop what Cayce called practical mysticism, the ability to live simultaneously in the world of form and the realm of infinite possibility. You handle earthly responsibilities with competence while maintaining awareness of the larger spiritual context that gives them meaning. Most importantly, you begin to trust the intelligence that's orchestrating your life. Instead of fighting against circumstances or forcing outcomes, you learn to dance with the cosmic flow that's always guiding you toward your highest good, even when your limited perspective can't see how. As our journey through this mystery deepens, a profound paradox emerges. The more you explore the Akashic Records, the more you realize you're not discovering something new. You're remembering something you've always known. These records aren't external to you. They are the very substance of your deepest being. Edgar Cayce revealed that every soul carries within itself a perfect memory of its entire journey. The records aren't stored somewhere out there. They're inscribed in the quantum field of your own consciousness. Every cell in your body, every fiber of your being contains the complete story of your eternal existence. This is why deep meditation can spontaneously trigger memories of other lifetimes. This is why certain music can transport you to places you've never been in this life. This is why some people feel profound nostalgia for time periods they've never experienced. You're not imagining these connections. You're accessing your own eternal memory. The ultimate teaching of the Akashic Records is that you are both the seeker and the sought. The question and the answer. The journey and the destination. You are consciousness exploring itself through the adventure of individual existence, always carrying within yourself the memory of the infinite, while experiencing the beautiful limitation of the finite. Conclusion. The choice before you. We stand at a threshold, you and I. On one side lies the familiar world of separation, limitation, and spiritual amnesia. On the other side, waits the recognition of your true nature as consciousness itself, interconnected with all existence, carrying within yourself the wisdom of the ages. The Akashic Records aren't just Edgar Cayce's extraordinary discovery, they're your birthright. They're the cosmic inheritance every soul carries, the infinite library of wisdom that's always been yours to access. The only question is, will you remember? This remembering doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual awakening, a gentle recognition that grows stronger with each moment of genuine stillness, each act of sincere service, each choice to love instead of fear. The records respond to authenticity, to the sincere desire for truth, to the willingness to be transformed by what you discover. Your life is not random. Your struggles are not meaningless. Your dreams are not impossible. They are all part of a sacred curriculum designed by your own soul to awaken you to the infinite being you truly are. The Akashic Records hold the key to understanding this curriculum and consciously participating in your own divine becoming. In every moment, you're writing the next page of your eternal story. In every choice, you're selecting which probability pattern becomes your reality. In every breath, you're participating in the cosmic dance of consciousness exploring itself through the magnificent adventure of individual existence. The records are calling to you now, not with words but with the deep recognition that resonates in the silence between thoughts, in the space between heartbeats, in the infinite presence that you have always been and will always be. Will you answer the call? If this message has touched something deep within you, something that recognizes the truth in these words, then stay with us. Subscribe to this journey of remembering, and let's continue exploring the infinite mystery of who you really are. The records have so much more to reveal, and every soul that awakens to this truth helps illuminate the path for all others. The universe is dreaming through you. It's time to remember the dream.